Spooky season is once again upon us, and it sadly seems that there's little interest in making kiddie horror the way they used to in the 80s and 90s. Much of family animation has settled into a terrible complacency in the last decade or so, with the companies that once sought to rival the likes of Pixar and Disney having apparently lost all drive to make history, or even movies with artistic merit. It's often just loud, obnoxious stupidity with little in the way of plot, protagonists who all feel the same, and an annoying proclivity for quirkiness. Stitchhead is just the latest such movie in a long line of forgettable computer-animated stimuli that help 90 minutes of your precious life pass by. It's hard to imagine how an animated movie about monsters can end up being boring, but Stitchhead manages it.
What is Stitchhead about?
In some little fairy tale land, not unlike those the Grimm tales take place, a village is unimpressed by the arrival of a traveling freak show headed by Fulbert Freakfinder, due to the menacing castle on the hill that is home to a mad scientist and his many monstrous creations. Up in the castle, we meet Stitchhead, the nutty professor's first creation and Igor figure, whose job seems to be acting as a housemother of sorts to all the other creatures. He gives each new arrival a brief induction, warns them to stay away from the village to avoid the traditional angry mob, and that's about it. There is very little established about our leading man, whose entire being, from his lackluster design to his wimpy speaking voice, inspires minimal reaction of any kind. It might have helped to have him narrate the opening and closing scenes, as is customary with such stories, to position him more firmly as the main character, because other than being the namesake of the film, there's little to indicate that he is the central focus. Anyway, the freak show invites him to join them as their new star attraction, and with very little coercion on their part or resistance on his, he just goes. It's not an evil circus master kidnapping him, and it's not a plucky young hero running away to seek adventure or fulfillment. Everything just sort of happens, and at a very meandering pace. The main driving force ends up being a big furry creation imaginatively named Creature, who ventures down from the castle to find Stitchhead. Despite no such relationship, he has convinced himself that Stitchhead is his BFF, ultimately just so that the movie can wrap up with a nauseatingly contrived sentiment about love and friendship that has never been earned. It wants the narrative rewards without putting in the work to achieve them.
Stitchhead picks itself apart.
You'd think it was basic stuff to slap together a story about a young protagonist venturing out into the big, wide world on some adventure or other. Given that this movie has shades of Toy Story 2, A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., and Pinocchio about it, you'd think it would be even easier. On top of that, it's based on the well-liked books by Guy Bass, so what could possibly be so hard about taking your average hero's journey story, painting it with bright digital colors, and making it interesting enough for 5 to 10-year-olds? Apparently, this presented a real challenge to the makers, because Stitchhead is one of the dullest, flattest, and most predictable family animations I've seen in a while. It elicits the odd sensible chuckle, but otherwise falls into every trap and overwrought cliché of the genre and drags its feet through even the basics. At the center of all this mediocrity is the man of the hour, Stitchhead, who is so uninspired a protagonist that it almost feels intentional. He is such a flaccid, wet lettuce of a character with no drive, no ambition, no personality or pluck about him. He just mumbles weakly and stands about while everyone around him moves the action on. Meanwhile, we get the young village girl character, who's the one to befriend Stitchhead and let him know that he isn't so monstrous after all. A fine sentiment, but there is never anything to suggest that Stitchhead is dissatisfied with his lot in life in the first place. He doesn't long to find his place only to realize he was there all along. He doesn't want to be a hero or achieve something everybody tells him he can't. Of all those typical setups, the movie has no motivating factor for the entire story to hinge on, and so it just sluggishly crawls on by, never quite sure of its pacing or what it's really trying to say. Its tiresome approach to comedy sticks to such knee-slappers as old ladies wanting to fight and monsters having Yorkshire accents and names like Steve. Writer-director Steve Hudson takes all the staples of inoffensive family animation and seems to play bingo with them, checking them off his card without giving much thought to how they fit together or the relationships he is building between his characters. Perhaps he started the project with enthusiasm, but it seems that creative interest waned pretty sharply. Stitchhead has the vibe of a teenager trying to reach the minimum word count on an essay. As long as it gets done on time, then that's the main thing. This is a collaboration between a number of European animation companies, and to their credit, the movie looks pretty good. The character design of the monsters is fun, textures like fur are nailed, and the opening scene succinctly introduces us to a world that looks full of promise. A particularly impressive sequence sees the camera fly all around the castle, building a sense of grand scale and tangibility. Unfortunately, things largely go downhill from here, with the scenes themselves lacking imagination and creativity. The fluid camera work is all but forgotten, and the framing takes on a fairly standard, static look. To top it all off, it makes a few half-hearted attempts at being a musical, with 3 very forgettable numbers dotted around so sparsely that when one crops up, it feels out of place. Stitchhead would probably never have been a groundbreaker, but it could have been a decent little family film for the Halloween season had it had even the basics of characterization and narrative. Stitchhead comes to theaters on October 29th.